All right, so baby products, right? Not exactly what you might think of when you think of robotics. But let me talk to you a little bit about what it is that we do and why it is that we do it. So you have to start with this idea that robots aren't necessarily what you think or what the media might want you to believe they are. And the fantasy of a humanoid robot in the eyes of four moms is just simply never going to happen. It's too hard, it's too expensive, and it's too pointless. If we could wave a magic wand and take Asimo and make him 4 times more capable than he currently is, and at the same time have him cost $500, right? What we'd wind up with is a robot that could go out on our front lawn and pick up a newspaper. And that's a $20 problem. Or you could have him go into the kitchen, perhaps, and get a beer out of the fridge, and that's a party trick. But the reality is that there's a whole lot of very core fundamental technology that's related to robotics that's really powerful and really important if you divorce yourself from the media concept of humanoid robotics. The second thing that's a very important part of the history of four moms and what it is that we got started around is this idea that we call Moore's Law 2.0. And so Moore's Law has taught us for decades that tens of dollars has become tens of dimes. But what Henry Thorne and I focused on, and Henry's the guy I co-founded the business with, who's a CMU grad and a part of the Robotics Institute back in the day. What Henry and I focused on is this idea that although we've known for decades that tens of dollars becomes tens of dimes, in the early part of the 2000s there was something new. And that new thing is that for the first time in history, tens of dollars was really, really powerful. And what that meant is that as we were about to see tens of dollars turn into tens of dimes around really powerful computing components, we could go out and revolutionize industries that had never used electronics before. And that was the idea, that was the theory. So these two pieces of robotics technology and these new high-powered, super low-cost pieces of electronics kind of clash together with this idea of searing consumer insight to develop what we refer to as dramatically better products. And dramatically better obviously doesn't mean different, and it doesn't just mean better, but specifically what dramatically better means is that we redefine the most important attribute in the categories that we're in. So those 3 pieces of the stool are the robotics technology, the super low-cost stuff, and these big consumer insights. And they help you understand why it is that we wind up focusing on juvenile and some of the success that we've had, and I'll tell you about some of the products that we've done. So the juvenile market is an awesome space to build a business. It's why we wound up focusing on it. We're not a bunch of frustrated parents who thought, gosh, there has to be a better way. We were a bunch of folks that were really interested in building a business of scale that was really, really powerful and important, and it turns out that juvenile is a great place to do that. So the market's really, really big. That's the first place that you start. It also has fantastic fundamentals. So there's great fragmentation in production. There's great fragmentation among the retail base. There's fragmentation in supply, in distribution. All of those things are great enablers for a new entrant in the market like us. It also is dominated by event-driven spending. If today you don't have a child and tomorrow you do, you will go out and you will buy a ton of crap because you just simply have to. No one who's bringing a baby home is going to skip that step of buying things. And as a matter of fact, the compulsion, the need to acquire stuff when you're having a child is so great that people throw parties in order to make sure that you get enough of that stuff. And all of your aunts and uncles and neighbors and cousins, all of these people organize pools of capital in order to make sure that you're in a position to buy all of those great things that you need. So the juvenile market is a great place to be. Oh, and by the way, it turns out that it is a desert of innovation. So many of the products that are considered cutting edge today were actually developed 30 to 50 years ago and haven't fundamentally changed. And that either means the products are perfect or it means the products can be better. So that's why we focused on juvenile. Today we have distribution in about 2,000 retailers in the United States. We're in about 52 countries around the world. And I've never seriously thought about getting a tattoo, but if I did, this would be the one that I would get. So our growth over the last 5 years runs about 130% annual compounded rate. First quarter at 10 million was a great number. The second quarter budget's 11.5, and we are tracking now ahead of that for the second quarter. We think we'll do 50 million this year. That's 8 of 9 consecutive quarters of growth, which feels really good. And with $50 million this year, kind of well vectored on, we believe that next year will be our first $100 million year. So lots and lots of momentum. If I've learned anything since we started the company, it's that nobody can do any of this stuff by themselves. So if the company was still just Henry and I, there'd be no reason for us to be up here on stage other than the fact that Dave is such a great friend and he'd take pity on me. But the fact of the matter is that to get anything done, no matter what your business and what you want to do, it's all about people and it's all about culture. So what we do at 4Moms is we get the best people that are available anywhere, we give them an unbelievable environment to work in, and we stay out of their way. Lots of decentralization, and so people and culture is a big part of what we focus on. That includes not just the folks that work at 4Moms every day, but it includes our investing partners, and we've been fortunate to have great support of some really prestigious institutions, including Bain Capital, who's been really key to a lot of our success, and Newell Rubbermaid, who interestingly, although an investing partner, they also own Graco, who is the largest competitor of ours in the 4 categories that we operate in. Which is kind of interesting. So when we define the juvenile space, for us it really makes up these 4 basic gear categories. So left to right on the image that you see there, which is some of the beauty shots of the stuff we do, we're in the stroller space. We're getting ready to enter the car seat space, and I'll tell you about what we're doing there. We've got some products that are infant seats, and then we do these portable infant cribs that are known as play yards. So those are the 4 basic categories that we're in. I'll walk you through some specifics on what it is that our products do and help you understand what we mean by robotic solutions in this space. So the 4Moms Mamaroo is the infant seat that we developed. It's one of our hero products, and it's been in the market for about 3 years now. In virtually every retail environment it's in, it's the highest selling product in terms of units at the highest price point on the shelf. It's a really, really strong place to be in. So before we brought the product into the market, there were 2 basic categories in infant seats. There were bouncy seats that actually vibrate. They don't actually bounce. They've got little motors in them that vibrate. And there are swings that swing. And thinking about this idea of dramatic innovation and being dramatically better, the question winds up being, what is the most important attribute in this category? And hands down, the reason that you buy one of these products is that no matter how much you love your kids, at some point you want to put them down. And when you do, you need them to be either soothed or entertained, because if they're not, you have to pick them up again, right? So that's the whole point of the category. And what's interesting is that if you study the motions that parents make when they comfort their infants, not surprisingly, nobody vibrates like a bouncy seat or moves like a swing, right? So you'll see these little red boxes on the back of these moms, but that's a 3-axis accelerometer that we use to study the motions that parents made when they were comforting their infants. And we use that data as the basis for the motions that we wanted to program into the Mamaroo. So what the Mamaroo does is it behaves like this. So the Mamaroo at its core is a 2-axis coordinated motion robotic platform. It's a robot that goes right and left, and it's a robot that goes up and down. And it's all encoders and motion control software. The reason that no one's ever done this before isn't necessarily because no one's ever thought of it. It's because it's actually a massive software problem, and you need to have a really powerful, really inexpensive processor in order to deliver the product to market. And so that's what we've done with the Mamaroo. Another example, we do have other products in the seat space, but I'm just trying to give you guys a few examples because we want to be conscious of time. We're also in the stroller category. And what's interesting about strollers is that strollers haven't fundamentally changed since our parents were pushed around in them, right? And again, using the same line I used before, that either means that the product is perfect or there's room to make it better. So when we think about strollers, this is what we want to do, or what we do actually. So we've been shipping that product for a little bit over 2 years now. And to recap, when we talk about the fact that it's power folding, there are generators in the rear wheels, so as you push it, it actually keeps itself fully charged. Daytime running lights, it's the first step to avoiding accidents being seen. Pathway lights on the underside that come on in low light conditions in order to light your way. An LCD dashboard that gives you information about the status of the stroller and Fitbit-like data around how far, how fast, how long, and your ability to charge your cell phone. And I'm not saying that it's the world's most innovative stroller because it's the first product to do all 6 of these things. I'm saying it's the world's most innovative stroller because it's the first stroller to do any one of those things, let alone all 6 of them. So it's been a great product. It was an entry into the very high-end stroller market for which there are a large number of competitors. But the idea wasn't to be selling super premium strollers all the time. So the next stroller that's coming out, so the monitor that we talked about in the origami are 2 of 5 products that we're currently selling in the market today. I'll talk to you now about 2 products that are coming out. The next video that I'll show you is for the next stroller that we're doing that is coming out a little less than a year from now. So all the same features of the origami in terms of power folding and self-generating power and lights and cell phone charging, but now we're talking about less than half the weight and about half the cost. So this will be sub 16 pounds, and we haven't set formal pricing yet, but let's call it something around the $400 range. So it's another product we're really excited about. Another category that we're not in, but we're getting ready to enter in, where I think, to be very frank, it is the largest value proposition that we have brought to the consumer by far. I hold my head very high in terms of any customer of ours, the product that they buy and what they pay for it, and what they get in exchange, but the value proposition that we have in the car seat space far exceeds anything we've ever done before. And so to talk about car seats for a moment, what we know is that they are very important life-saving pieces of equipment. And when they're used correctly, they save lives. But the problem is that over 70% of the time, as a matter of fact, 78% of the time, according to the National Transportation Highway Safety Administration, car seats are installed with a critical installation error. They're way too hard to install. As a matter of fact, if you read any instruction manual, the state-of-the-art says, install the car seat, and before you use it, go find a certified expert in order to have the installation inspected and checked by someone who can tell if it's installed correctly. And what is absolutely ludicrous is that in order to become a certified expert, in order to know enough about whether or not a car seat is installed correctly, it takes 36 hours of classroom instruction from a trained expert to teach you the difference of whether or not a car seat's installed correctly or not, right? Think about that. It takes 10 hours of classroom time to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And it takes 36 hours of classroom training time in order to determine if a car seat's installed correctly. And so from our way of thinking, that's simply not okay. So what we did is we thought, in a perfect world, what would car seats be like? And what we thought was, in a perfect world, 2 things would happen. The first is no car seat would ever be installed incorrectly. And the second is that every single time that a parent went to back out of their driveway, there would be one of those certified experts there to inspect the installation and make sure the car seat was in fact safe to use. So with that motivation, this is what we did. World's first self-installing car seat. And what we've done is we've built a robot into the base of the car seat that knows how to install itself. And so instead of expecting the parents to develop this expertise around this complicated, highly technical, life-saving piece of equipment, we've actually just offloaded that on a bunch of sensors and technology. And I think the connection to why you would define that as a robot is pretty obvious. So, in short, we've got this big market that we're going after. We've proven our ability to develop world-leading products, and we've got unbelievable momentum in the marketplace. It's all based around this robotics expertise. We have a very, very deep product pipeline. There are more than 13 projects similar to what I've talked about today that are in development in and around that juvenile space. And more than anything, what we've got is a great team of people that's enabling us to execute against it. So that's the 4Mom story. Thanks for your time.